A Ferrari fan, everybody's a
Goldenglow
fan. Even if they're not, they are.
Goldenglow.
And if you think otherwise, you are wrong. Aside from her adorable design and amazing artists, thank you Nami for bringing her to Arknights. Goldenglow is one of the best casters in Arknights. Even though this video is long overdue because her standard banner had just ended, I hope that I can still convince you to build Goldenglow if you have her sitting around collecting dust, or just want to get to know more about our adorable Scottish cat. Goldenglow is a 6-star drone caster, a class of caster that uses drones that attaches to enemies and continuously attack them until they die or the skill ends. The damage of the drone stacks up to 110% of the operator's attack, so ideally you want the drones to stay on one target until one of the aforementioned conditions is met. Drone casters also have the lowest attack among all casters, so they rely on attack buffs from their talent or skills to deliver more damage. In the case of Goldenglow, being the only 6-star drone caster at the time of recording, naturally her stats are the highest in this archetype, but her attack is still very low in the ranks, sitting below the reserve operator caster. What she lacks in base damage though, Goldenglow and the rest of the drone casters makes up for it in having a very short attack interval at just 1.3 seconds. Gigi's first talent, Beacon's Wrath, gives her drone a 10% chance to self-destruct, dealing massive AoE damage. The drones return to Goldenglow after the skill ends, so you don't need to worry about running out of drones, and this 10% chance is potentially a 1 weak point in her talent. To the casual player like myself, this is not that big of a deal, but to speedrunners or more hardcore players, this 10% chance may make or break a stage. You better pray to High Mao that Gigi's talent can proc as many times as possible. In the end, I don't think this is worth stressing over, just make sure that you have a backup in case Gigi's skills are not enough to deliver a fatal blow to the enemies that are close to the blue box. Gigi's second talent, Precise Redirection, ignores enemies' resistance by a flat amount. One thing I'm not so sure about this talent is the difference between Reduce and Ignore. They are both debuffs, but I can't find a clear explanation about the difference between the two. So if you happen to know it, let me know in the comments below. For now, let's just assume that they're both the same thing. Before we move on to the skills, I want you to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Thank you. Goldenglow's first skill Goldenglow's first skill, Scattering Sparks, is pretty straightforward. She gets an attack buff and increased attack speed, and the drones latches onto enemies and continuously attack them until they die or the skill ends. The short duration is suitable for short burst attacks, where the enemy count is relatively low. Next, skill 2, Surging Current, gives Gigi an attack buff and a drone, but this skill also expands her attack range and has infinite duration. Compared to skill 1, it takes a while to charge it up, but once it's activated, the infinite duration is great for AFK strategy and those long and boring annihilation stages. But which one is better, skill 1 or skill 2? I did a couple of test runs, and the one thing that skill 2 has an advantage over skill 1 is its infinite duration, which means Gigi's drones are not restricted to her skill duration, allowing the drones to attack and track enemies for longer. The long charging time can be improved with battery operators like Liskarm, Telopsis, or Warframe. If you want to know more about the two medics, you can check the videos right here. Skill 3 is Goldenglow's bread and butter and what she's known for in the game. Similar to the previous two skills, Gigi receives an attack buff, but this skill expands her range to a global level, meaning she can target enemies anywhere on the map, but enemies closer to the blue box takes priority. While attacking, her drone slows down enemies for 0.5 seconds, and since she gets 2 drones this time, she can attack 2 enemies at the same time. Whoa, hold up. What I just said a few seconds ago was wrong. Goldenglow actually gets 3 drones in total with her skill 3, and theoretically she can attack up to 3 enemies simultaneously. In order for that to happen, the drones need to shift their targeting priority after they explode, but this is very rare and I've never seen it happening due to her RNG of her first talent. So yeah, I just want to clear up that misinformation. I'll let you get back to the video. Which makes skill 3 a very effective weapon against Wraiths. What I like about this skill is the short cooldown time for the amount of damage it deals. at just 40 seconds at level 7. And this skill also absolutely rips into enemies if you add attack speed buff on top of it. So which of these 3 skills are worth mastering? It goes without saying that skill 3 should be the one you should prioritize because it is one of the most powerful skills in the game. Gigi's attack buff also gets a significant jump from 55% to 80%. That applies to all her drones' base attack and the explosion. In addition to that, Gigi's cooldown gets reduced from 40 seconds to 35 seconds, which brings her skill uptime from 42% to 46%. I can't say the same about the other 2 skills because even at M3 their cooldown time does not improve, but if you happen to have some spare materials, I think it's worth it going for that M6 specialization. Now that you know how these skills work, here are 2 ways you can make them into an absolute weapon of mass destruction. First, in IS game modes, if you are lucky enough to get your hands on artifacts that increases your attack speed, Gigi becomes an absolute killing machine. Just look at this clip of her soloing the Phantom boss stage. Similarly, in SSS, you can stack snipers to build up attack speed, and the difference here is that in SSS, Gigi can get crazy fast. You can also stack casters alongside the snipers, which allows her to charge her skills much faster. Despite how good Goldenglow is, she has some shortcomings. First, like I mentioned before, drone casters in general have the lowest attack among all casters, and they rely on their talents and skill to compensate for that. The problem with Goldenglow is that her first talent is RNG based, which makes it very unpredictable. Sometimes in a stage, her talent rarely activates, and other times it activates quite often. The drones deal more damage the more time they spend attacking on one target. When they explode, they need to return to the same target, otherwise the attack buff that was built up will be reset. And skill 3 is particularly susceptible to this problem due to its global range. So is Goldenglow worth your time and investment? Yes, definitely. Positively. Despite her shortcomings, Goldenglow is an S tier caster. I love her design and her kit because it's not very often that you get an operator that has technically infinite range. Her skill 3 is perhaps one of the most powerful skill in a caster class alongside Eyjafjalla's delete button, but that's a different comparison for a different time. Using her in SSS was an absolute joy because of how ridiculous it feels to stack attack speed buffs on top of one another, and finally seeing Nami or any other creators who is proud of their work just makes the experience a whole lot better.